Hey guys, so we're going to do a top 10 Crucible defenses video today. Probably one of the most requested videos, one of the most unwanting of me to do kind of videos because, well, I don't want to help turtles. It can get pretty rough when you're on these crazy punches that I'm sure a lot of you are very familiar with as well. But these are what I consider the top 10 defenses. Obviously, you only use 6 of them, so you kind of mix and match as you go. But before we get into that, a word from my first sponsor ever. Let's go. Bloodline, Heroes of Lithas is a brand new Western fantasy RPG game with very friendly vertical play and some of the best graphics I've ever seen on a mobile device. But this game is more than just incredible graphics, it also has fun, intricate world building. From your trade district to your senate, you will hire characters, assign your champions, and make crucial decisions in your kingdom to control the flow of your economy. Even when you're not playing, these systems are still in effect, making resources so when you do come back, you have a stockpile to play with. But my favorite part of this game is the most diverse champion selection that is only increased by a truly unique air system. You can combine and customize your champions in this air system to really unlock their full potential. For instance, the Carved, otherwise known as Dragonborn, who you will coincidentally unlock just by logging in, can mix with the Fulgar, aka the Demigods, and create adorable little powerhouses. I mean, come on, a dragon with the powers of fire and lightning? I can't wait to see the devastation this little guy wreaks on the battlefield. But my favorite champion is the Lycanus, the werewolves. With their super cool design, they hack and slash their way through so many battles. I don't even know what these guys are going to be capable with when you integrate them with the air system, but I am so excited to find out. I am very much into this game. And that's just to list a few aspects of this game, guys. It is content packed. I'm having so much fun. So come and join me, create your own kingdom. You can download the game for free with the link in the description or scan this QR code right here. And don't forget to use my gift code to get 1 free champion token, 100,000 gold, and 100 diamonds. Can't wait to see you guys there.
New legends will be born. Download free now.
So, start with stages 1 and 2. Number 1, the hardest team, Darkhold. Yes, even harder than Unlimited because of the built-in answer and less RNG to go with it. So, what's your answer for Darkhold? Well, there's a bunch of various Dormammu comps you can do, right? There's the Brotherhood Kestrel Dormammu team that you can use if it's the full Darkhold, as well as the Spider-Woman Dormammu Kestrel team that I've used in the past. But the second you use a character like Red Guardian, that gets a little bit trickier. Then you're kind of left with just the Brotherhood one. Old characters, if you're not a veteran player, you may not have them built up. I don't, so that becomes a non-option for me, unfortunately. Otherwise, this is like a 2, if not 3 tap team. There are some one-shot options like Unlimited or a mirror matchup with a speed advantage, but the second you get into that territory, you might be shooting yourself in the foot in other matches, or you might just be giving up on efficiency, because if they have Darkhold on defense and you don't, you have a longer, tougher match to get through. Even with the speed advantage, you're likely going to lose a lot of turn bonus. So for that reason, Darkhold does come in at number 1 for Crucible defense. Then we got stage 3, Critical Mutants, and number 2 team goes to Unlimited X-Men. Not a surprise here. Basically the exact same reasoning for Darkhold, and you could almost swap them, but the mirror matchup versus Unlimited is a lot simpler, right? You take out Phantom-X, you throw in Cable, you should get the win. I've done up to, I think, 300k punch-ups doing that. The problem becomes the damage you take along the way. So in the same reason we just talked about, your Unlimited on offense versus their Unlimited on defense will get the win at the cost of efficiency. Your Cable, without a doubt, is going to be dead to the enemy Gambit. You're going to take a bunch of damage from the Sunfire. If something doesn't stick on Dazzler, you can even lose that matchup, which is super frustrating. So it's a nightmare matchup. So again, if you have yours on offense and they have theirs on defense, they're kind of forcing you to give up some efficiency in favor of them. So for that reason, the Unlimited team comes in at number 2. Let's move on to stage 6, Skilled Batteries, and this is a team I faced in my last Crucible. It was a giant punch-up, but this team just mechanically is a little bit of a nightmare. I'm calling them Doom-Kanda, and the idea is that you have Okoye beside Doom so that he will ult on his first turn. Now the go-to counter for Wakanda is Young Avengers, but if you go in with Young Avengers against this team, even though your America Chavez will get turns, you don't have enough damage to kill the Doom outright. Depending on how big your Young Avengers is and how big the Doom is, I suppose you could, because that does happen on War Defense. But without some of those word buffs, it's very unlikely. So it gets a little hairy. And what you end up doing is switching in Zemo. Now Zemo, in place of America Chavez, can make the Young Avengers beat this team. However, you run the risk of Okoye and Black Panther targeting the Zemo, which can happen, right? It's a 20% chance times 20%. I believe it's like a 10% chance or something like that. I don't know how math works. But if that happens, then you're absolutely screwed and you will lose. What I ended up doing to beat this team is a mirror matchup and just hoping to go first. And it worked for me in that big punch-up. But absolute nightmare team. And if you decide to go in here with Eternals, same thing with the Young Avengers and Zemo team, you can just get rocked. Because if you're not stopping that Okoye from her assist with Black Panther, Eternals can very easily die here, which is super scary. So for that reason, Doom-Kanda is surprisingly coming in at number 3. We move on to stage 4, Mystic Amplification. And this is a team I haven't actually seen yet, but in theory to me sounds horrifying, and I would never want to do it. Because what a lot of people do for this this Mystic node is they save their Infinity Watch. However, if there's a Dormammu with this team, Infinity Watch simply will not work. So you have a bunch of City Mystic characters that pepper you with debuffs, do huge damage, and then Dormammu, who is a kit nightmare and also does so much damage in his own right. And with everybody having 2 lives, that just gives more time for Ghost Rider to pop off. In theory, this is a very scary team and limits the amount of counters. Now, you could easily beat this team with an Eternals. However, that's going to drain your tank for other more difficult teams coming down the road, particularly this next one. Back to stage 1 and 2, and we're talking about the Hero Asgardians. Yeah, they're not just a War Defense team, guys. This is a nightmare team. You can go in with Eternals and absolutely pop off, but then you won't have them for other matches like we just talked about. You can go in there with the Kanda and potentially just wipe the floor, especially if Valkyrie does not use her passive. But if you go in there, even with Wakanda, you kill Valkyrie, and she pops off all those buffs and everything on everybody else, even though it's only going to happen the one time, it's an absolute nightmare. Now, there's a couple options. You can find somebody who does a very early stun. You can turn meter rewind this team until you can land a turn 2 stun. So there's some options, but if you stall it too long, if you hit one too many people and all of a sudden Thor's passive is popping and then he's stunning a bunch of your teammates, this fight can go downhill real fast. And with this team being a Scourge team, you can bet it's going to be a lot of people with some super big Hero Asgards coming down the pike. So it adds that element of RNG, or it pulls Eternals, and that in and of itself is a huge win and gives the rest of your team some breathing room. Stage 5 now, Cosmic Catastrophe. Now this one, I just knew I had to include a stage 5. So a lot of people throw Unlimited here. That absolutely makes sense. Unlimited technically get buffed from stage 3, which is why I put them there. But Unlimited also works super well here. The problem is, it doesn't matter where you put Unlimited. They're either going to be beaten by the mirror matchup, or they're going to be whittled down. I've seen Shadowlands do the first hit on Unlimited, and then a Weapon X Shang-Chi come in, and they actually clean that up, because once Rogue blows her abilities, it still sucks, but it's not like terrible. So I've seen that happen. So that's kind of how WeaponZ makes their way onto this list. So Unlimited in stage 3, WeaponZ on stage 5, and what we have here is just Weapon X without Wolverine. And the reason this is scary is because the best way to beat Weapon X is with a mirror matchup. But you need the speed advantage, so you might throw Emma in. Well, my Zemo will still go first. He might ability block or slow your entire team. Well, he might ability block Lady Deathstrike and slow your entire team, and then my team is still going to take over after that. So it's very, very scary. It limits the amount of counters you can use with that Cosmic tag being taken out. So it is a very powerful team. And again, if your Unlimited is in stage 3, this one makes sense because they're not going to want to use Unlimited against your WeaponZ. It can be pretty oppressive. I've had it, and I've had it win, I think, on 2 occasions so far because they had to use their Unlimited elsewhere. Back to stage 6 and skilled batteries, and this one I have faced, and I think I actually coached Taco Shooter through it on stream once. So Doom with some skilled allies so that they get to pop off their ults first, and then you would throw in Emma to kind of stop an Eternals counter. But if you had Asgards and you had this, then they have a lot of options. Or if you have Dormammu with the City Mystic teams and somebody else besides Dormammu here, say Kestrel maybe, so she would take all the Doom turns, it can be very scary. And then it calls out more Eternals. But the idea here is Zemo's going to give energy to Doom, Captain Sam is going to give energy to Dormammu, and if Doom reaches his turn, Dormammu is then going to clear the board. So you're going to get that win, cost them that 400 points at least, and if they come back in and Dormammu's charge, it could be a problem. And if they do decide to Eternals this, they kind of need to use Emma and Loki, but even then, Zemo goes first. And if Zemo decides that he wants to ability block Cersei and slow, say, her and Icarus if they're too close to each other, then you're going to pop off here and really frustrate somebody. So for that reason, Dormammu Doom coming in at number 7. Back to stage 5 in the Cosmic Catastrophe, and a pretty simple one here. We're doing with the Web Warriors. Now, you're not going to get a big amount of wins here. Being in stage 5, it does kind of limit the counters that can be used. But of course, your Young Avengers will beat this. Your Uncanny X-Men will beat this. Eternals, even in stage 5, would beat this because Icarus is going to go first. And basically, any kind of group that can have unavoidable damage. Like there's that very popular Shang-Chi, Misty Knight, Colleen, Taskmaster, and Star-Lord T'Challa, although he wouldn't make it here. Instead, you'd put somebody else in there with an unavoidable damage. And so that could get it done. However, Web Warriors with the new Doom 3 raid are going through the roof. Lots of people bring them up to level 90, which means you're starting to see 1.1 to 1.15 million powered Web Warriors. And what that's going to do is cause people to decide how they build a roster. Are they building for Crucible? Well, if not, and they're focusing on raid, which is the better idea, they can come into problems when they come into your Web Warriors and they just don't have enough damage to meet a damage check before your Web Warriors pop off. Cause a lot of efficiency points with their dodging or just with killer damage out the bat. So yeah, Web Warriors had to make this list just by virtue of how annoying they could be. Back to the Critical Mutants node, and this one might surprise you, but Uncanny X-Men. Except we're taking out Cyclops for Wolverine. I've actually got wins on this. I know Taco Shooter was talking to me. He's got wins on this, but I think he does use Cyclops. It's just a scary team and it catches people off guard, especially if they're trying to save their Kestrel for one of those Darkhold counters we were talking about. They mostly revolve around Kestrel and Dormammu and how they interact with each other, just popping off a bunch of damage, stuns, and Kestrel pings. So as soon as somebody hesitates and doesn't use Kestrel here, they come into some big problems. And Wolverine, with his extra damage from the special, since he has Phoenix, and if he reaches his ultimate, he'll catch people off guard and shred them to pieces, because you got to have your Wolverine big for your Weapon X in war, right? So this team catches people off guard a lot. It's very dangerous. It's one of my favorite go-to teams if I'm using unlimited X-Men on offense, which I do personally do. So I like having these guys in stage 3 and my Omega Red team or Web Warriors in stage 5. And that kind of makes people pick where they want to use their unlimited or where they want to use their Secret Avengers. And it throws people for a loop. So I really, really like this Uncanny X-Men team. All right, and last but not least, we're actually going to head back to stage 6. I know I said I would do 2 of each, but the Mystic Room is just use more City Mystics if you're not going to use Dormammu there. Not a lot of theory crafting. Go into that instead. This one's a little bit more fun, a little bit more chaotic, and we've limited the amount of counters along the way as we've gone here. So for Infinity Watch, your main counters, Young Avengers, Darkhold, Wakanda, Unlimited. Well, all 4 of those are kind of taken up, right? Like Young Avengers will probably be going against your Wakanda. If your Wakanda's not here in stage 6, they'll be in stage 5. Darkhold you probably have on defense. Unlimited you probably have on defense. Wakanda you probably have on defense, and so does your enemies. Or they're using those in mirror matchups, right? So that really just leaves the mirror matchup itself for here in the Infinity Watch fight. And depending on who you give the skill energy to, this can cause a lot of confusion, a lot of chaos. A lot of people subscribe to the method of holding on to Nebula's dodge on turn 1 so that they can avoid the stun turn 2. But if the stun comes turn 1, they can't hold on to it. They'll also eat it up anyway. Now they will be able to cleanse it with their 5 level, but then your Adam Warlock will use his special turn 2, and that itself can cause chaos as well, being a 2-turn ability block which happens after Phyla-Vell does her stun. or cleanse rather. So it kind of bypasses a little bit of the trickiness that you can use to easily beat the mirror matchup, and makes it a little bit more difficult that people aren't familiar with, which often causes wins. So that's why I really like Infinity Watch in stage 6, though I myself keep them on offense. So there's that. All right, guys, well, that is my top 10 list. I don't necessarily have all these teams on defense. In fact, I have the majority of them on offense because I'm always punching up crazy amounts. And I didn't want to make this video because I was afraid that these 6 teams would be used against me, like the top 6 teams in my next one, and that would, well, break my heart. Break my poor little heart. Anyway, if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Stay happy, healthy, and have fun, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.